medicine and principles of Ayurveda. She's a recipient of many awards like Women's Achievers Award by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry and the Great Indian Women Award. We also have joining us Dr. Subhash Kumar Wangnu, the renowned senior consultant endocrinologist at the Apollo Indraprasth Hospital, with an experience of over 37 years in this field. He's a member of the prominent associations like the American Diabetes Association, the American Endocrine Society, and the Royal College of Physicians, London. Thank you so much. I would also like to invite on stage Republic Media Network's senior editor, Mr. Shravan Sen.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The first session, what we have put it as the dawn of new era, and as far as healthcare is concerned, for the longest time, this entire slogan, health for all, was seen as a distant mission. Undoubtedly, as we started with our opening address, that India certainly sees a transformation, but we are far from achieving several goals, and more importantly, healthcare, whether it is meant for all, is it within people's reach? These are some bigger challenges, and Dr. Claire, I think so, has put this into perspective, and we perhaps would try to delve into this. And of course, we have Dr. Shikha Sharma. She's been at the forefront of a Women First organization. Undoubtedly, it's become a pioneer in wellness advice and counseling. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. And Dr. Subhash Kumar Wangnu. He's a senior consultant, endocrinologist, Apollo Indraprasth Hospital. And Dr. Wangnu, let me just on a lighter note, when I was doing a little bit of research on you and your papers, I found a very interesting review by one of your patients. And I would like to read it out for you. One of your patients says he's a cool doctor who doesn't scare a patient. I think so it's quite an interesting review, I would say. Let me first begin with Dr. Shikha Sharma. In terms of what we are calling it, building a healthy India, transforming the vision into reality. A bigger challenge, Dr. Sharma, is it accessible to all? Because that's the biggest problem, and comparisons have always been drawn up. The government will always be very optimistic by saying that we have launched several, schemes, but is that really enough, and what does it essentially mean for the future?
I think that's an excellent question. I would like to first begin with an analogy. Suppose there is a road which has a big pothole, and because of that pothole, road accidents are happening and people are dying on the road. So a group of people decide, because this road is leading to accidents, why not build a hospital next to the road? So hospital is built up. Then the next stage is people think that, oh, the patients are still dying because it takes some time for the patient to be wheeled in. Why not have an ambulance station next to the pothole? So an ambulance is coming. Then the third stage is people who are very kind, empathetic think that, oh my God, these patients are poor and they're not able to afford the hospital treatment, which is cutting edge. Why not have health insurance for the people who are dying from the accident? So if you can see from the analogy, majority of the chronic lifestyle disorders which we talk about, and India is the most populous country. If this is the situation, how are we planning to treat everybody with a chronic, with a tertiary healthcare system? We cannot. We cannot afford it. It's not logistically possible. Now, India is home to one of the most refined systems, which is the Vedas, which is the Ayurveda. We have not even touched upon Ayurveda as one of the methodologies which could be implemented at the root level, at the ground level. Let's talk about democracy. What is democracy? Democracy is when people have a voice. Everybody has a voice. It's not an autocracy. It is not a monarchy where there is a top-down approach. I say something, it has to be followed. Like uh, I mean, it's one of the things which we have heard, that when the French monarchy was told people don't have bread, the answer was, why don't they just eat cake? The same situation is happening here. I mean, people who need to change, who need to get basic water, basic nutritious diet, clean air, those people are coming into and congesting the tertiary infrastructure, which is not required. So when we talk about Panchayati Raj, it is basically solutions at the ground level. And that is common sense. There is nothing, there's no rocket science about it. So solutions at the ground level will come from, if if in our traditions for cough and cold you had honey and you had ginger and you had black pepper, why do we need an antibiotic? Why do we need decongestants? Why do we need those medicines? So what I'm trying to say is, tertiary healthcare has a role, and a very significant role. Artificial intelligence has a role, robotics has a role, cutting edge surgery has a role. But it does not mean that you need a bomb for everything. You need different solutions for different stages of diseases. And that is why the best thing is, we need to get health education, nutrition education, knowing your body. I mean, I studied history, civics, philosophy, I don't know, God knows what all, in school. I never studied nutrition. I never studied nutrition in medical college. And I never studied healthcare. I mean, exercise was just a checkbox activity. So I'm thinking, what I'm trying to say is, I think we are missing the true picture. And that's where we need to do reflection and rethinking on the most populous country in the world, who has traditions going back thousands of years. Why have we thrown away those traditions blindly? We need more research.
Well, as far as throwing away traditions are concerned, I think so that largely remains a very contentious issue, and perhaps we'll take this forward a little later, getting to the brass tacks of it. Dr. Wangnu, let me bring in the other big fear that most Indians have. Let's not forget, in terms of data, 60% of the world's population with diabetes comes from in Asia. India and China contributes the largest. You've written multiple papers on it. Somewhere down the line, as far as diabetes is concerned, very little is known, or isn't enough awareness about it, and it's at a much later stage one gets to know about it, or perhaps doesn't really know how to deal with the situation. And more importantly, it's again a section we're talking about, the urban population. What really happens to the rural population?
I think thank you very much. And first of all, let me tell you, what we preach, the reality is entirely different. What we teach and preach, the reality is entirely different. You have to come to the ground levels. Your question is so pertinent. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions among the minds of the Indian people about these chronic, non-communicable diseases. And diabetes is one of them. You must be stunned to know that India harbors more than 78 millions of diabetics in the world, next to China, though India was the first few years back. Where the problem lies? Basically, India has seen the transformation from what we call the famine, lack of basic facilities, rapid industrialization, rapid civilization, a rapid economic growth. And what has happened? The people who had genes which were responsible for the people to conserve energy at the right time when there were no availability of food, what is called the thrifty gene. And over the years and years, those genes start, transfer to this younger generation, the current generation. And with the rapid availability of the food, those thrifty genes started conserving the energy in your body. And if you start taking energy-rich foods, we have seen a tremendous exponential rise of obesity in our country. Overweight, obesity, and the diabetes runs parallel to that. So what we had to know, why the India is having a dubious distinction, having so many patients with the diabetes, is basically of our genetic predisposition. Now I will give you a very simple example. We tell all the patient to do the simple lifestyle modification. Dr. Claire also told lifestyle modification will prevent 50% of the patient in developing diabetes. Where is the infrastructure? In today's life, if man is so busy, he doesn't get any time to walk. He goes to the office in the car, stays there, come late in the evening, have dinner, watch TV and goes off to sleep. Where is the space for the children to play? How is the environment going to help? Pollution, pesticide, chemicals, agriculture industries. Can you imagine all these pollutants and chemicals, they create a unique substance in the atmosphere called EDS, endocrine disrupting chemicals, and that have seen a rapid surge in all cases of cancer, diabetes, blood pressure, mental health. So what? So when you are talking about the lifestyle, you see what is the, India is a huge population. Initially, when we were in school, we were having a what do you call the PT period, a game period. Where are those gone? People are hooked to the computer, laptop in front of the TVs, and they have become couch potatoes, munching chips and French fries while watching or doing the, and particularly post-COVID, I have seen a tremendous increase in the teenager obesity. And can you imagine patients 16 plus, they become so obese and at the age of 17 they started showing the features of diabetes or the impaired glucose tolerance. So we have to think how we can improve it. Though everything is, our health minister can say this thing, that thing, but if you see the ground reality, where is the ground reality? Can you, anybody tell me, do you have any space and enough parks for the morning walk? Even if you go for morning walk, is the air clean? What time you are going for the morning walk? And sometimes you are afraid of going for morning walk, you will be hit by some running motorcycle or the car, you are scared for your life. See the traffic, the pollution. Who is going to improve that? We preach, we make white paper, we see this much of can be done, but nothing if you see the ground reality. Now the mantra is that at least if you don't have the infrastructures, look at you. For example, you want to prevent diabetes. Look, if you are above the age of 40, if you have family history of diabetes, if your body mass index is more than 25, if your waist circumference is more than 90 centimeter in male or 80 centimeter in female, you lead a sedentary lifestyle, you smoke, you consume alcohol. So these are the set of the patients who are the future potential candidate to develop diabetes. At least screen those people, give them questionnaire where you fit, what do you call the risk engine. Call them, screen them, and just give them simple tips. Avoid taking the high caloric dense foods. You can take the homemade food, which is the best, but where's the time for the couple to give the homemade food to the children? They will order from the so many outlets, which is easily accessible. So first of all, look in your inner self, where you stand. And if you can do something to yourself, well, I am at a risk of developing diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol. I can say no to these things. I have to maintain my ideal body weight. I have to start doing some physical. I don't want you to go for outside, do indoor physical activities. But be cautious about taking these so-called high caloric dense foods, which give instant calories, fill your stomach, but doesn't give any nutritious diet. Shika will agree with me. These are the problem. So your questions, how we are going to help people to prevent the rising prevalence of diabetes and the associated complication, you have to look in your inner self and see what best you can do. So that is my mantra to all of you.
Well, in fact, both of you have, in your opening comments, have essentially spoken about the challenges and what's the way ahead. Dr. Sharma, if I can come to you with regards to what's the way forward in terms of bridging the urban-rural gap, because what we're talking about, this holistic wellness approach, many would say that this is very urban concept altogether. Let's not forget large part of our population remains in the rural area. So what is holistic wellness approach for a rural population who are still very afraid? And let's not forget, the health minister may have said that there are schemes that have been put into place, medicines which are coming into, which are cheaper. But the fact of the matter is that I think so almost everyone who's in this room would have had some experience dealing with families coming from lower income groups, still having that fear that if I come across a disease, how am I supposed to tackle it? Some would say that in my own personal experience, the interactions as a journalist that I've had, people are fearful. The low income group would say that I rather not treat it, I rather not deal with it and brush it under the carpet. So there lies that one big problem. So let's start with what the solution driven approach could it be for you?
The first thing I would say is that Environment Ministry and Health Ministry have to start talking to each other. Many of the problems which you see in rural areas is because of the green revolution. The, the I would say, unwise, huge use of pesticides, chemicals, fertilizers. When a pesticide or a chemical or even a fertilizer enters the body, it jams our biological intelligence. They are not meant to be consumed. In small doses, if you see, I mean, we know about cancer trains. So we have to firstly have a policy of going natural. Now why? It's not only about the direct cost of investment, it is also the indirect cost of healthcare, which is coming into pesticides and chemicals. So the first thing is, Environment Ministry has to start looking at how can it protect biodiversity, how can it protect its water, its seeds, and how can it make sure that the rural areas are free from chemicals? Because a lot of diseases are coming from water, air and earth because of these chemicals. Number two, education, health education, exercise, whether it is yoga, whether it's any other exercise, has to be mandatory right from schools. And there has to be a marking system. That means kids have to get marks because otherwise they think it's useless. So to pass grade 10th or grade 12th, there has to be marks even given for fitness and education and nutrition, because otherwise nobody would study it, nobody would take it seriously. That's number two. Number three, I think it's important at the ground level to empower ASHA workers. We underestimate, see, as a doctor, and I have experienced this phenomena at Pant Hospital, the patient thinks the doctor is going to do magic. We don't realize that the doctor is surrounded by people who help the doctor, the technicians, the nurses. There's so many people, and I think we need to create a huge infrastructure of these paramedics or these health service people who can ensure that only the people who need the doctor get to the doctor, rather than everybody who doesn't need. I mean, for a cough and cold, why do you need a super specialist? You don't need a super specialist. It can be fixed at a level which would put less load on the tertiary infrastructure. So that is number two. Number three, I would think it's very important to understand that we have to strike a balance between natural and chemical. I think we are getting a very chemicalized society, and our bodies are not designed to handle that load of chemicals. So which means we have to understand what are the regional and local ways of treating diseases. Those have to be researched. I think there's hardly any research happening. There's hardly any funding in research for natural and alternative methods in local areas. So I think modern medicine is great, but we need to see traditional medicine from the filters of modernization and see how can those be inducted in a scientific and structured way, protocol driven, so that the load, if you go to AIMS, you should see the kind of load. You go to any hospital, any good reputed hospital, you should see people lying on the floor, sleeping nights on the floor. Why do they need that structure? Because I think we need democratization of healthcare, which means let's fix problems at the root cause, so that only the most needy
Healthcare for all, accessible healthcare for all, affordable healthcare for all, and all patient should be insured. That is the only thing what I see in today's scenario, that most of the Indian patients have to pay from their own pocket. A diabetes patient has to spend on not only drugs for the treatment of blood pressure, cholesterol, so many other things, and each and every penny has to pay from his own pocket. Why don't the insurance companies come forward and insure a diabetic patient? All the insurance companies, the same moment the patient is admitted, he has a history of diabetes, they deny the insurance. Why? A bill has come 5 lakh rupees and there is written somebody, patient is a non-diabetic for last 3 years, he has undergone angioplasty, later on gone the bypass surgery, but the insurance claim was rejected because he is a diabetic. Why? Diabetic patient has to have the coronary artery disease or the bypass. Why the poor fellow is not? Because these are some of the flaws in our insurance policy. And that this is the high time we should come forward, the government of India should come forward. That they should talk with the leading insurance company, that they should include some of the important, what do you call, the non-communicable diseases, and they can save millions of lives if they insure these patients who are diabetic. Let them increase the monthly or the yearly premium. But at least they can save lakhs and lakhs of rupees. That is number one. And fourth thing, what I want, not calling the committees, not making the decisions, or not making the points on a paper, and giving orders to someone else. Let it be practical. If you are a health minister, you should know each and everything of the system which is prevailing in your country, not at the tertiary care, secondary care, primary care, at the root grass level, what is happening. If you go personally there and see what is happening there, then you can yourself as a doctor can decide what best we can do to improve the primary healthcare system in our country. Go to a dispensary remote area, hardly 2 or 3 medicines will be there for the patient to be given free of cost. If the patient, there are 3 or 4 medicine, painkiller, a antihistaminic or a diarrheal drug, anything. But you have to have equipped with at least a doctor who is trained in giving the medicine and diagnose the patient. A patient is a diabetic, there is no glucometer in the primary healthcare to do the blood sugar test. I still remember millions of glucometers were ordered in some ministry, and they were lying junk in the, basically in the godown. None of the glucometers were used for checking the blood sugar at the primary healthcare. Implementation, 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 not just making policies on the paper will have any, we can see any success in our healthcare projects. And that is why we need a doctor at the healthcare helm of affairs who will know each and everything, and he can really implement those things in a better way rather than any other ordinary person.
Dr. Sharma, you've argued about traditional medicine. Interestingly, during the pandemic, there was this contentious issue, debate even within the medical fraternity, that are we to really look at traditional medicine the way we look at, or is there a scientific approach to it? Why is it that this has become such a contentious issue when several people would argue for generations we've been following a traditional method and that has worked for some, but some would say that this is, as Dr. Claire was also saying, there's too much of Babas all doing the round. So there is a confusion, let's admit it. I, for a matter of fact, I could actually tell you that I prevent my father from using any of it, simply saying that, you know, don't accept it. Or, you know, perhaps why should a Baba actually tell me what am I supposed to eat or what am I supposed to drink, or even so much so there are toothpastes that have been sold on that count. Coming on a serious note, should there be a scientific approach to it? Can Indian traditional medicine be seen in a much more scientific manner?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Now let's go step by step. The first thing is, how does a doctor think? I am a doctor, I have a license. If I have to tell a patient, okay, have this traditional medicine, and I have not been trained in college, I'm risking my license because I'm supposed to give advice. See, what I do with my own health is my own job. But if I am professionally giving advice to a patient, I need to have a backup of some research material. I cannot just say something, oh, my nani did this, you also do this. That's not how doctors are trained. So the first thing I would say is integrated approach to healthcare. That means some of the traditional things which have gone through the rigors of research, they should be taught as an extra semester in all medical colleges. Number one. Number two, we need far more scientific research and funding to go into traditional medicines than what is being done today. In Germany, in European countries, in America also, they are doing research, but they are giving it a different name, a different spin. I would say India needs to spend far more on its traditional herbs, traditional systems, so that we doctors feel safe recommending it. I would not feel safe recommending something which doesn't have a scientific paper, which also doesn't mean that all traditional systems are bad. It just needs to be presented in the right way, number two. Number three, I would say what is very important is things as simple as yoga. Why haven't they, like for example, if a patient is coming out of a heart attack, there should be a protocol that for the next 6 months, the insurance company should mandate that you have to go into a lifestyle correction protocol so that you don't come back after a few years with another heart attack. You don't go back into following the same lifestyle which generated the first episode. So I think as insurance companies, if they mandate that a heart attack patient, a severe diabetes has to follow a regime under supervision or under some kind of audit, I think we can change the whole scene of our integration of healthcare systems. Number three, I would say is Aadhaar card should be linked to your health data. Of course, there are question marks on the privacy issue, which I will not go into, but your digital ID should be linked to your health statistics so that we get real statistics. I mean, today in India, do we have real statistics on healthcare? I am not sure. Like for example, doctor mentioned that so many All India institutes have been set up. You'll be surprised to know in some of these institutes, top of the line equipment is there, no technician. They don't know how to operate it. They just push these expensive equipment here and there, damaging some of it. So I think we need to have online education, offline hybrid model of education to train lakhs of technicians, lakhs of nurses, because without the paramedical staff, a doctor is helpless. A doctor is not going to create magic. And finally, I would say, you know, whether you have Babas or whether you have other people, you see, healthcare has become fashionable. So everybody wants to get a little bit of healthcare into their speech or into their jargon. So we can't change that. The only thing we can change is let's build a solid, robust, integrated healthcare system in India.
Dr. Wagner, as far as diabetes is concerned, and we've seen a lot of myth doing the round. Let's not forget a lot of WhatsApp messages. I'm sure each one of you sitting here would have some family group, subscribe to some family group, and someone sending or the other what should be avoided. Best part is that we get a long list of not to eat this, not to eat that, and there is a long list that keeps forwarding. As far as diabetes is concerned too, we see a lot of myth. What is the most dangerous thing? And I would certainly want to know from you, Dr. Wagner, any anecdote in terms of when you're dealing with your patient, what is the most bizarre thing that you've really heard?
See, I think now I have 40 years experience of practicing endocrinology in the country. And I have come across a bizarre number and very huge number of patients having a very different notions about this particular disease. I'll give a simple example. A lady barged into my clinic, though is an appointment. She came and I have been referred to you for my sugar control. My sugar is 300, 400. Though I am taking treatment and my kidneys are going haywire functions, please help me. So there were three people, the attendants with them. One was the husband and two were the sons. I told them, when I saw the patient's file, she has been taking not one, two, three, five anti-diabetic drugs. Still her sugar was hovering between 300 to 350 and the kidney were also affected because of that. I just spoke and convinced her that this is the high time because your diabetes is a long duration. Now the drugs are not going to control your blood sugar, you have to burn insulin. The moment I said that, डॉक्टर साहब मैं मर जाऊंगी यहीं पर लेकिन मैं इंसुलिन नहीं लगाऊंगी. आप कुछ भी कर लो, मैं मरने को तैयार हूं लेकिन मैं इंसुलिन नहीं लगाऊंगी. सी द काइंड ऑफ रेजिलियंस अबाउट ए ट्रीटमेंट विच इज लाइफ सेलिंग टू दैट. उसका हस्बैंड कहता है डॉक्टर साहब कुछ भी कर लो, जो देना है लेटेस्ट से लेटेस्ट मेडिसिन, बट हम इंसुलिन नहीं लगाएंगे. इंसुलिन से कहते हैं लोग मर जाते हैं, इंसुलिन लगाना बड़ा डिफिकल्ट होता है, इंसुलिन से आदत पड़ जाती है, लाइफ लॉन्ग होती है. दिस आर द कॉमन परसेप्शन. इंसुलिन बड़ा पेनफुल होता है. फिर मैं थोड़ी देर समझाता हूँ कि नो नाउ इट दिस मॉडर्न मेडिसिन में द इंसुलिन टेक्निक्स हैव बिकम टोटली डिफरेंट, दिस थिंग दैट थिंग. द अदर सन कम्स, नो डॉक्टर, if you don't want to give me any other new medicine, we are leaving. मैं कहा listen, just believe me, I will give the first shot of insulin in front of me and see if she says, no, I am not going to take the insulin in near future, I will say go to another doctor. Now here you have to spend some time with the patient because in nowadays practice you don't have any time for the verbal conversation with the patient. I called my diabetes educator in front of me. I gave a shot of insulin myself on the patient and asked, what is your experience? डॉक्टर साहब दर्द तो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं, ये तो बड़ा सिंपल है. लोगों ने हमको इतनी गलत गलत बातें बताई थी इंसुलिन के बारे में. तो दिस इज द वन ऑफ द biggest fear among the minds of the people that the injectable treatment in diabetes is very bad. And second thing, what is the coming to the myth? Doctor साहब मैं तो diet और exercise से I will control my diet and there is no need of taking medicine. I will walk this thing. So I had to tell one thing. And लोगों के mind में ये जो media ने फैला रखा है कि diabetes can be reversed. There are so many WhatsApp channel, Instagram, YouTube, diabetes can be reversed. I think they should change the word reverse to the remission. It is a lot of myth and a misnomer. Diabetes cannot be reversed once you are diagnosed clearly you are having a diabetes. You can go into remission for some time. You can remit the disease by your efforts, medicines, but you cannot reverse the diabetes. नहीं डॉक्टर साहब हमने पढ़ा है कि I told them there are so many studies going on. It is not called the diabetes reversal. It is called remission. So many international trials are going on. It is diabetes remission. And that is why the other pathies, what you call the other pathies, whether it's the Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani, so many things. I respect all the pathies. They have a science behind their pathies. That is why if I tell them, if you believe in pathy, believe them thoroughly. But don't go deviate from the what is science. And that is why when a patient comes to me that I have joined this particular program for the diabetes reversal, he comes to me after 1 year with a very high sugar and a lot of complications. Where we are leading to by looking and hooking ourselves into the various media which are not giving the correct scientific information. A lot of TV debates and where I have said about this particular thing, about this diabetes reversal going a lot of coverage in the media. So our media is also responsible. I can say clearly.
I think, Dr. Wagner, on that note, I would just say that as a very responsible media network, we've had longer programs on diabetes. So we'll refrain from as far as our participation is concerned. And I believe, of course, the media certainly has a major role to play. And in fact, especially during the pandemic, is where we learnt our lessons too. Dr. Sharma, I want to quickly bring in one aspect. I would say I have a personal interest too. That is with regards to this entire fad on diet. In fact, my dietitian happens to be my colleague here. I don't know whether she's here in the room or not, but she's the dietitian and she keeps telling me. But the fact of the matter is that a lot is now being spoken about what should we eat. There is this entire concept of organic food. I come from I come from a hill station, and my father is still believes in growing vegetables. So organic is something that we've seen for a very long time. But of course, in today's time, there is entire this fad of multiple diet systems that have come into place. keto diet and etc., etc. What, in your opinion, would be something that every Indian can follow? And that need not be an urban concept. And the reason why I keep insisting that a lot of it has become a very, very urban concept. Hence, I'm asking you this question. What, in your opinion, is the way forward when it comes to nutrition, is what you mentioned, and in terms of diet?
So the first thing I would say is, uh, when we talk about nutrition, it means nourish your body. And nourish your body means that the food which you're putting in, one of the things which we have seen is the refined oils which are coming in the market are full of bleaching agents, chemicals, causing havoc with the gut biome. The rising incidence of cancers. I mean, if you see the cancers, there is a deep connection between your food and the environment. So if you're going to, if the air quality of index of Delhi, Bombay is on the red zone, we are not going to die tomorrow, but we are definitely getting affected at a cellular level. Our cellular intelligence is being compromised. When we look at the rise of artificial foods, I mean, if you pick up a pizza or a burger, how many of emulsifiers, synthesizers, artificial colors are there? And they are jamming your biointelligence. That means the cellular intelligence between one cell and another is getting affected at a deep level. They're causing huge inflammation. So the first thing is, I think it is an emergency situation in when it comes to food. What we are calling food, we are not actually eating food. We are eating chemicals today, number one. Number two, when it comes to diets. Now, diet is a quick fix, a jugaad, to reach a certain weight. So when I started my practice, initially I failed because I launched myself as a preventive healthcare specialist. Nobody was interested. Then I pivoted to calling myself, my facility as a weight management. And suddenly all the glamorous people turned up at my door because weight is visible, weight is not looking nice. Health, we don't care. We could be highly diabetic, cholesterol plaques, everything, doesn't matter. We should look good. So what I feel is that when we talk about these diets, the mentality, the mindset is, let's quickly go to a doctor or a dietitian. She can fix me in 6 weeks. So I think all diets are wrong because fundamentally what you are doing is you're trying to fool your body, which cannot be fooled. It's a beautiful creation of a higher power. It has intelligence at every level. So all diets are wrong, whether it's a keto diet, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's this, it's that. What people say is, so a diet is a steroid. The way people use steroids indiscriminately to quickly get a patient back, that हमने डॉक्टर साहब की दवाई दी, 2 दिन में खड़ा हो गया patient. That's steroid. A diet is a steroid because it will give you that quick result within 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And you are hooked to the dietitian because you feel, oh, it gave results. And the reason why all diets fail is because you are not looking at your basic body type. I'll give you a small example. When I studied medicine, we were taught, and that's true, that in 4 to 8 hours, the digestive system will digest your food and the absorption will happen. When I read the concept of digestion in Ayurveda, the actual digestion and assimilation happens in 37 days. The food enters the last tissue, which is your fertile ovaries and your semen, on the 37th day. So that means what you ate 37 days before, the remnants are still in your body. So I was deeply curious to understand that what is this assimilation of energy, which from food energy or whatever you're eating turns into human energy. The basic concept, I would say, that when we talk about calories, it's the biggest blunder of the 21st century. There is nothing which is a calorie, because the calorie concept is based on the science of combustion, and humans don't have combustion. They have metabolism, which is making food into smaller cells, smaller units, and then building from the smaller units an actual cell. Combustion is burning. Metabolism is transformation. First is you break it down and then you re-establish the cell. So it is unbelievable how little nutrition is understood. And that is why I had to go into Ayurveda to understand nutrition as a science. Because in modern nutrition, there are so many flawed concepts. Milk is a complete food. It's a flawed concept. So cholesterol is bad. It's a flawed concept. It's the liver which is a problem. It is the artificial chemicals and the trans fatty acids which are a problem, which are actually killing your biointelligence. The gut is actually a place where communication is happening between external food molecules and your internal human molecules. So what I'm saying is that I think there is so much to be learned and understood that we need to revamp our healthcare system starting from the basics.
Dr. Sharma, I have just one small complaint because after what you said, tonight when I go back home, my wife would essentially say the same, that after my in-house dietitian would say something about diets, I would go back home and tell her that ye khana chahiye. She would have, the responses are quite similar to yours. So tonight I think so, she might end up saying, maine kaha tha. Dr. Wagner, just one final question to you in terms of the way ahead and especially the lifestyle changes that you've advocated in several of your papers that have been published internationally too. When you say lifestyle changes, there is still that concept that we haven't understood. What is the lifestyle change are we really talking about? Because some say that you can eat everything that you want. It's all about exercising it.
So what I said in my initial that what is the lifestyle changes, diet, exercise, sleep well. These are three important lifestyle because sleep is a very important factor in your life. When it comes to the diet, Dr. Shekhar told you about the various pros and cons of the diet. As an endocrinologist, what we teach to our diabetic needs small, frequent meals. I don't give them a diet chart. Small, frequent meals with little bit high fiber and no direct sugar. I just tell them to avoid direct sugar and tell them eat rest of the thing. Direct sugar means like sugar, sweets, ice cream, cold drink, chocolate, which gives you instant calories after absorption. That's what I tell you, if you increase the fiber, if you take the complex carbohydrate, the insulin rise will not be so quick and rapid, and that is why all other food items is allowed in a diabetic. And coming to the diet, and you have a dietitian at home, there are a lot of myths about these, some of the diet which should not be consumed for the diabetics. People say चावल मत खाओ, आलू मत खाओ, fruit में आम मत खाओ, केला मत खाओ, ये मत खाओ. And Dr. Shikar told the concept of calories, that calorie is nothing. You know, when we say that you take this much amount of fruit, we have to tell, suppose you want to give, patient is overweight, and you want to reduce the weight, give this much amount of calories to reduce the weight. Body has a system, what we call the uncoupling protein in the body. And there's a process of thermogenesis in the body. Thermogenesis is where the energy is generated, where the energy is consumed. Mitochondria in the body is the biggest energy reservoir in the body. The ATP which releases the hydrogen ions, the reactive oxygen species, ATP is the biggest source of energy in the body. And this thermogenesis is a process. If you have a decreased thermogenesis because of some, what you call the imbalance in the uncoupling protein, which cause the decrease in the thermogenesis, then there is a problem. So I still believe that as an endocrinologist, we have to tell a calorie is a calorie, whether it's come from carbohydrate, whether it's come from fat, whether it's come from the protein. तो एक कैलोरी तो सेम है लेकिन उसमें कितनी कैलोरीज आती है दैट इज डिफरेंट. So I tell, take everything except the direct sugar. You can take any kind of a fruit, but take in the reasonable limited quantity, which forms certain amount of calories in your total dietary schedule. I don't give any healthy kid, okay, eat this thing, because एक एट होम एक लेडी जो है हर एक के लिए अलग अलग खाना तो नहीं बना सकते. दो डायबिटिक हैं, सबके लिए एक ही खाना बनेगा, उसके लिए अलग खाना तो पॉसिबल नहीं है घर में बनाना. So I tell them basic funda, take a normal diet, healthy diet, avoid direct sugars or the junk foods, and About your exercise, I don't tell them that exercise vigorously. The best exercise for a diabetic patient is only brisk walking or simple gardening, cycling, which is the commonest mode of transport. I don't want to tell them go to the gym, hit the gym, have a stationary bicycle, have something, this thing. These order modern gadget because you don't have the time to do it. So diet, I've told you, exercise, and that is the lifestyle. Don't tell them that eat this thing, eat this thing. Whatever is available, eat in moderation, eat what the doctor has told you, eat well in time and sleep well in time. If you eat dinner at 10 o'clock and get up in the morning 10 a.m., nothing. The late you sleep, the more weight gain you will have because the biological clock changes. That you tell the patient to sleep early, get up early in the morning, the biological clock is maintained. So this is important as a science. Eat well, eat small in quantities, chew well, at proper time, sleep well, and you lead a healthy life.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wangnu. Just only one small thing is that if everyone goes off to sleep early, our prime time show ratings will go down. So only thing that we would like to urge is please watch
Your
us and
prime
then
time
go
you
off
can
to sleep.
shift early because sleeping at time is very, very important for the human body biological clock. I will tell you why.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I think so. We have just one question. We'll take that and perhaps wrap the session.
My question, my question is to Dr. Shekhar. Good afternoon, ma'am. Any three Ayurveda tips to the audience here?
Yes, definitely. The first tip would be amla is one of a very useful things, and I think amla is available. It's a very high source of vitamin C. It should be consumed. In fact, on a lighter note, the first brand in the entire world came from India because Chavan Rishi created Chavanprash, and amla is one of the major ingredients of Chavanprash. So please have amla. Second thing I would say is ginger is a very, very useful herb because it detoxifies the liver. It helps the liver to detoxify itself. And so please use ginger in your meals. Please use ginger in your green tea or whatever you are drinking because it really helps, ginger and tulsi together. That's really effective. Third thing I would say that understand your body. And I have always believed that we all have a super intelligence inside if we don't let that intelligence be clouded by external noises. So whether you call it meditation, whether you call it breathing, there have been a lot of researches being done on breathing. So breath, right from Tai Chi to the Eastern medicine, the China, Japan, breath is a very important thing. Sleep is of course critical. Then after sleep, I would say how you breathe is very important. And uh, that is something which is very, very useful. So that is the third thing I would say. Finally, I would say water. I don't think we're drinking enough water because we live in air-conditioned environments. Our thirst has gone down. So the body is two-thirds water, H2O. So if you're not drinking enough water and if you're not breathing right, many diseases come even from that.
Thank you. I think there's one.
Thank you. We have one more question.
Dr. Chika, can you hear me? Is it audible? Okay. Uh, I wanted to ask you, why do you think that Ayurveda is not celebrated as much as yoga? Why do you think the youth is not still inclined towards Ayurveda as much as they are towards yoga? Do you think the marketing is done not, I mean, is it not up to the mark?
Excellent question. See, the first thing I would say is when you read Bhagavad Gita, at every age, Bhagavad Gita has a different message for you because your own filters of your mind are changing, your own experiences are changing, and you get a different message from that book or whichever book you are reading, which is complicated, which is hard to understand as a child. Modernization or movement is the essence of life. What happens is we force saying that no, old is good, the new is bad. No. Modernization is the essence of life. What we need to do is we need to contemporize traditionals and traditional things with modernization. Modernization has to go with traditions and traditions has to go with modernization. As a, I mean, I cannot expect that we tell that no, please drop modernization, it's all wrong. All modern medicine, all modern healthcare is wrong, only traditional is good. This binary attitude is a problem. It has to be more integrated. So the reason, one simple reason why Ayurveda does not appeal to modern kids or modern generation is because it's not communicated in their language. It's not created in that language. We need to create Ayurveda in the modern language. Now, I would say in some areas, West packages it really well. You go to California, you go to some of those towns which are wealthy towns of US. It's Ayurveda repackaged so beautifully. It is so attractive. It is which appeals to the young generation. So I think we need to repackage Ayurveda. We need to represent, again present Ayurveda with a modern methodology. Like yoga, if you see a yoga teacher in California, they follow a scientific protocol. This is the right way. Please keep your spine straight. Please breathe like this. Please move your arms like this. This is your pectoral. This is your, different, whatever body part they are. Here they say, I have said so, follow me. Because Guru Shishya Parampara, whatever I say, follow me. You can't do that. So I think we need to contemporize traditions.
We've got one more question.
I have a question to Dr. Wangnu. Sir, what suggestion you would like to give to the corporates? I mean, how do you think they should invest in health beyond the medical insurances that we usually take?
Can you repeat your question?
Sorry?
Can you repeat your
Yes,
question?
sir, what suggestion would you like to give to the corporates? How do you think the employees should invest in the health apart from the medical insurances?
All right. You know, the best first move for the corporates in the West was that the chairless office, this is called non-exercise energy expenditure. They used to, they have made tables without the chair. You have to stand and do the work in front of the laptop. First thing for the corporate, because they had to have hours and hours together sitting in front of the laptop, sitting, which does not consume, energy. While you're sitting, this is called non-exercise induced thermogenesis. This is a different need. This is a different concept nowadays. That even if you stand for some time, few hours, you are going to increase your thermogenesis in the body if you don't get time. The first lesson to the corporate. Number second thing, during the daytime when the corporate eat food, which is available in the canteen, tell them to make available food which is really, really rich in fiber, green vegetable with fruits, salad, and with a less oil. Because it may not look tasty to all of you, but at least it gives us some semblance that some kind of a dietary regulation you are doing. And number third, you are busy in your corporate office, you don't get time to eat. For example, my daughter is busy somewhere because she has a connection with the US. She's busy on the laptop and tell, Papa, I don't have time to eat dinner, I will eat dinner later on. So this kind of a thing, because the work schedule is such that forces you to work for late midnight, one, and then you skip your dinner, you skip your lunch. You cannot change your profession. This is the professional hazard you have to, I think, bear with it. If I say just take some time, half an hour, no, there's a meeting going on. I cannot stop my laptop. And I can't eat my dinner right now. You can't do that. This is the inherent professional hazard what we are facing nowadays. The what as an endocrinologist I am seeing that couple become so busy in their lifestyle they don't have time to even talk to each other when they come home. One come home, the other is busy in the other thing. The incidence of sexual dysfunction, infertility, divorce and everything is increasing so high because of all the hormonal changes what we are saying because of this work schedule. समथिंग यू हैव टू कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ेगा. आप पैसा पा रहे हैं तो कुछ अपनी सेहत खोनी पड़ेगी. पैसे के बिना जिंदगी चलती नहीं है. तो दैट इज द क्रक्स ऑफ द होल लाइफ नाउ-ए-डेज.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much, Dr. Wangnu, as well as Dr. Shikha Sharma. I love the question on the corporate thing. I'm hoping that some things will be implemented for us also. Thank you very much. And indeed, one statement that Dr. Wagner you made just a while back, that every minute for a doctor is very important for saving the life of a human. And on that note, I would say that doctors do a lot of service to the nation, which many a time is not acknowledged. I think so today is a perfect day to acknowledge the contribution made by our doctors to our nation. Thank you very much for spending time with us.
That was very, very insightful. Thank you so much, Dr. Wangnu, Dr. Shikha, for your time, and Mr. Sen for holding this amazing discussion. Our next session is on mental health over physical strength, and it is focused on cardiovascular training, core strength, and flexibility, with its highlight being physical and mental well-being, along with how to train yourself in climbing mountains. May I now invite on stage Padma Shri Dr. Arunima Sinha. Dr. Sinha is the world's first female ampute to climb the Mount Everest. She has been honored with the esteemed Padma Shri and also received the Tenzing Norgay Award. Her incredible journey has been captured in her autobiography, Born Again on the Mountain, a book that was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. Joining her on stage, Ms. Deepthi Sachdeva, Senior Editor, Republic Media Network. Thank you so much.
Let's have a huge round of applause for her, please. We can have a better one because right now you don't know her story. Once you know her story, you will literally have goosebumps. That is what Arunima is made of. And you might think, this is an aberration because we are talking a lot of core health issues this afternoon. But I think what also comes with a very fit body is a fit mind. It's all in the mind, they say. The doctors tell you this, Arunima, कि आपके दिमाग में ताकत है, आपकी विल पावर है, तो आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो. और शायद हम अपने आप को भी रोज़ ये बात पे बोलते हैं कि चलो आज ये हो गया, कोई बात नहीं, tomorrow is another day. That's the kind of willpower that one needs. But I don't know what should I say about her. She is the first woman amputee who's already scaled 6 peaks. 6 peaks. She's just had a baby. The baby is waiting at home. The baby is just 6 months old. And, it's such a powerful story of transformation that if you have it in your mind, आप कुछ भी बदल के रख सकते हो. I don't know how many of us here can do that, Arunima, but आपने जो किया है, I think fantastic है. So let's begin with a huge round of applause, please, for her, please. और कहते हैं कि सबके लाइफ में ना बहुत लाइफ चेंजिंग मोमेंट्स होते हैं, हादसे होते हैं, और जब आपके साथ कभी कोई ऐसा हादसा होता है जो गॉड फॉरबिड नहीं होना चाहिए, तो हम अपने आप से 2 सवाल पूछते हैं. Why me? People say ये मेरे साथ ही क्यों ना था, सब कुछ बुरा हो रहा है, अरुणिमा. और दूसरे जो तरह के लोग होते हैं वो कहते हैं try me. Let's see where this goes. How hard can this get? So Arunima is from the second category. She did not ask why me. When this accident happened with her, all this is a story that, like I said, I want her only to narrate. But Arunima, जो आपके साथ हुआ, उसमें मतलब वो पूरे हादसे के बाद अपने आप को आपने ये नहीं कहा कि मैं बेचारी हूँ, मेरे साथ ऐसा हो गया, क्यों मेरे साथ ही ऐसा हुआ, शायद भगवान नहीं चाहते कि मैं आगे कुछ करूँ. पर आपने पूरी स्थिति को घुमा के रख दिया. And you've done the unthinkable. What I think all of us here also can't do, to scale 6 peaks. ये कैसे हुआ सर?
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू सो मच दीप्ति एंड रिपब्लिक भारत कि आपने मुझे इतनी प्यारी ऑडियंस के बीच में मुझे भी मौका दिया बात करने का। देखिए प्रॉब्लम